Hello, welcome to Forging the Way, episode 1.
Gaz came up with that.
Yeah. This is our
No credit.
no credit at all.
Not for me.
No, not at all. This is our podcast series, starting episode 1, where we really just want to take you on a journey of starting the Forge, and how that grows and develops and changes and the challenges we face. But today, really, we want to give people who are looking at us, wanting to kind of find out more background on both myself and Beth, and just our experiences of church and faith, and
like how we got here, really, and
essentially,
answer some questions. I'm sure that some people have some concerns over why we think we're qualified. So we'll hopefully answer that.
Not comment. Yeah. So loads to cover, I think. This first episode is really just an opportunity to do that. My story's out there, so I think it'd be great to start with you and yours.
Yeah.
And just to give people a flavour of Beth and what you've been through, that kind of stuff. So let's go back to the start. Start
from a wee child.
Yeah, that's where normally it begins, isn't it?
But yeah, I was raised by a single mum in the East Midlands. My family moved down from County Durham just before I was born. So if you meet my family, they all sound completely different to me. But yeah, we're a working class family from a pit village in Durham. Really proud of my roots. And yeah, mum found a relationship with God when I was a kid. We started in the Sally Army, or Salvation Army, and then moved to a really nice church, which is a massive church now, actually, called Kingsgate in Peterborough, where my mum and my eldest brother still go. But we joined that church when it was just starting, probably in quite a similar way to this. Although the pastor there is Cambridge educated, so slightly different.
Just
we went to the University of Life. Raised by a single mum. We obviously had challenges from that setup. I was the youngest of 4 from my mum, and then I've got a little sister on my dad's side too. And I gave my life to Christ really young at like a church away camp thing. That was great. Really quite impactful, actually. Cried my eyes out. And I think from that moment on, Jesus has had my back, because I basically turned my back on God. And we moved up to Durham when I was like year 8. And I just went off the rails, didn't really go to school, did all the kind of stuff you wouldn't want your kids doing. And I think God watched over me, kept me safe in some pretty unsafe situations. If we'd have met when we were teens, we wouldn't have got on, I don't think. You were like a goth and I was a wreckhead. So
not that those people can't coexist.
No, but Gaz wasn't. You weren't like that. You didn't take that
I was
path.
not into drugs, alcohol, or anything like that. I was like pretty straight edge.
Yeah, you didn't really, So, and then I've always been quite serious about making money. So I went into sales. I'm quite a naturally salesy person. And my career was great, but I was different to everyone in that career. I didn't really make any friends, and I always had like quite high morals, and I wouldn't say that necessarily the people that I met always did. And did I make mistakes? Yeah. I did. I've done some really stupid things in my time, really, but I then actually ended up in an abusive relationship, and kind of this whole time I still prayed, but I wasn't like an active Christian, and I just lived life the way that I wanted to, basically. And I didn't realise that this relationship was abusive. My mum did, but I didn't. So mum was like praying for me all the time. And there was one point we were away travelling, and something happened, and I just thought to myself, like, he's going to kill me. And I had a drink, and then I just sobered up like that, and I was like, I'm not safe, like he is going to kill me. And from that point, I just kind of like fawned to everything that he said and did. I didn't stick up for myself anymore. And then one day we lived in Leeds, and I was on the bus into work, and about halfway into Leeds, I realised I was reciting this prayer in my head, the Serenity Prayer. Lord, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change what I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And I realised I was doing this, and I believe that's the Holy Spirit. And then I just continued. I kept praying it. And by lunchtime that day, I had decided I was going to break up with him. And I went home and I broke up with him. And he even said, and he's an atheist, but he even said, like, something's different.
Yeah.
I can tell that you mean it this time. You've broken up before, but something's different. Like, what's changed? And then that next morning, I woke up, and it's not like I had an audible voice, but I very strongly felt, or I just thought to myself, like, this sentence of, I'm going to go to Hope City Church tomorrow. And I'd never heard of that church before in my life.
So you just didn't know their name. You just Hope City came to your head.
Yeah, I'd never, ever, ever heard of that church. And the sentence in my head was, I'm going to go to Hope City Church tomorrow. So I Googled it, did exist.
Yeah.
Found it. I arrived late because I got lost. And even that, like, I hate being late, don't I?
Yeah.
So, like, I nearly started crying, actually. I nearly was, like, so flustered by it. And I just felt peaceful. Some peace wash over me. Again, I see God in that. And I came, and I was ushered in, and I missed the worship, which is my favourite bit. And I was sat at the back in between two people that later became my friends, Talia and Maisie. Talia actually became a bridesmaid at our wedding.
Yeah.
And the message was, it was just like being hit with a brick that had my name on it. Like, the pastor, Jenny, she was just up there, and she was just like, she was no nonsense. She's Australian, very, like, I love it. Love a bit of directness. And she was just like, I'm not having it. I'm not having these Christians telling me that they're waiting for God to move. I won't try and do an Australian accent, but just, imagine it.
G'day.
G'day, mate. I'm not having it.
That's it. We've lost the Australian audience. They're going to hate us.
I'm not having it. Yeah, I can't do accents.
No, we watch enough Bluey. I don't know how.
So we don't wait for God to move. Like, you move first, and God will catch you. God will be there. You have to move, and then God will move with you. And that's what I felt like I'd done. I felt like immediately I'd moved, I'd done the scary thing, and the next day God caught me. And in a big way, like, that was a huge realization to realize that I was in an abusive relationship. And that only actually came about because I went to see a friend of my mum's, and she told me all about her abusive relationship. In hindsight, my mum probably told her to do that.
Yeah, maybe.
To like show me that what she had been through, she classed as abuse, and it's what I had been through. And my mum even was the one who said, I think you've got PTSD. And and here's God, like, just catching me, literally. It felt like he just, in these massive hands, that's how I imagine it in my head, he caught me. And I just felt God kind of really strongly say, like, come on now, Beth, this is it. You've got to live the way that I want you to. I will give you all the desires of your heart. That's what the Bible tells us. And it's time now. I felt almost like I was being told off, to be honest with you. A little bit of a, like, come on now. Like, you've tried it your own way for long enough. Crack on. Yeah. Get serious about me. And that's what I did. And I just totally fell in love with Jesus. Like, Jesus showed me that I was loved, and that all of the mistakes I'd made were washed away. And I, was forgiven of the sin. I asked for forgiveness of all of these many, many, many sins that I had racked up, all these many things, these people that I'd wronged. Obviously I'd been wronged too, but I'd lived a life before that anyway. And loads of stuff happened in that time. I felt completely undone. God was like taking me apart almost and putting me back together. I got really stuck in with church. I started to feel like I wasn't helping anybody at work, and I was just making rich people richer. I didn't have anything to show for it because part of the abuse was financial. So, you know, like I did get a great commission after that. In fact, I got so much commission that they rewrote their commission structure because they realised it was too easy to get.
Great.
Yeah. But the point is, there was more to life than money.
Yeah.
And that's what God was starting to show me. And I started to get a sense that the Lord wanted to use me. And the church did like a Bible college, they call it like academy, a year out or 2 years to go and dig deeper with God. And I started to think about that. And then a lovely friend of mine who is sadly no longer with us, Beth, she came up to me at a conference and she said, I don't know if this is right, but, you know, I get a sense that the Lord like wants to use your voice. And that maybe you should do academy. And I was like, yeah, it's really funny you should say that. I feel the same way. And then off to kind of Bible college I went, got involved in worship, and, you know, it wasn't plain sailing from there. I was feeling quite unwell and progressively getting worse, and started a diagnosis for to try and figure out what was wrong. And it turns out that I've got something called fibromyalgia, which is actually caused by trauma. So nice little gift from that period of time. But it's it's a chronic pain illness, and I'm legally disabled. So I was kind of getting deeper and deeper into the chronic ill health, and also, you know, like emotionally trying to overcome this trauma. And I have been on quite the journey with that, really. And then, story for another time, I think, really.
Yeah.
And then I had this part-time job working for one of my old clients, and then one day I just felt God say, yeah, you need to leave. It's like, what? Come on. Really? And I said to God, I was like, if you want me to leave, you need to make that abundantly clear, because I really didn't want to leave this cushy job. Paid for everything that I needed it to. It was only 2 days a week. It was great. And then the next day that I went in, this was like a weekend, and I went in and my boss was like, do you think it's working? And it wasn't working because I needed more than 2 days a week to do it.
Yeah.
I was like doing internal recruitment, and I would have had to have lied.
Yeah.
And I couldn't lie. So I was like, I don't. And we agreed that I couldn't give any more time.
Yeah.
So I left. And then I was like, oh, great. God doesn't want me to work. Just focus on Bible college. But no, God did. And then directed me to CAP, which is where I met you.
I know, right? Life-changing.
Life-changing. But
life-changing.
It was life-changing, I guess.
Yeah.
Look at it like that.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's where we met. Interesting time, I think, for both of us. Yeah, I think what I found really cool was, like, when we met, there was a kindred spirit, and I think we both kind of very quickly understood each other. And I think we both saw the cracks in each other and what God had done. And, you know, it was a couple of months after we'd met that we were then kind of having a meal and just sharing our complete, this is me, life story, testimony time over a meal, and just being like, this is what you're getting.
Yeah, because we met because so I'd noticed you and I thought there was something about you. And then you just disappeared for months. I think you were poorly.
Yeah, I had my gallbladder out.
Yeah. And then it probably wasn't months, it felt like months. And then I had a sofa that I wanted to get rid of, and my friend said to talk to you, and I came and talked to you. I was like, oh, I'll message you some pictures. You were like, you'll email me. I was like, all right, weird. And yeah, then we didn't speak for ages. There was no reason to, really, was there? And then was it Beth's birthday? Another Beth?
Yeah, there was like drinks after work.
Yeah, and we just got chatting, didn't we? And we just like laid it all out. And I think, pretty quickly we were just like, right, yeah. You didn't realise it was our first date, did you? When we went on a date.
No,
so we had two meets with like friends and stuff, didn't we?
Yeah.
And then I came over for a curry and a drink, and it wasn't until we were sat in the curry that you realised it was a date.
Oh, this is a date.
And then you tried to kiss me and I gave you the cheeks.
For good reason. Yeah. If I'd have realised it was a date, then we would have. Maybe I would have got a kiss.
And then after that, it was like after 3 months, we'd realised that we wanted to get married.
Yeah, and I think again a part of that is, we joke about this story like we known a lot of couples who had met when they were young, maybe at Bible college or uni, got married pretty quickly, and were like, just deeply in it, and they were like, oh, when you know, and I thought that was a bit cheesy. I think you thought it was a bit cheesy too.
Yeah, for sure, yeah.
And we were just a bit like, I don't know about that. Like the real world tells me otherwise. But when we knew, the irony of that was just like, oh yeah, we're pretty certain that this is who we want to spend the rest of our lives with.
Yeah.
And I think what I really appreciated was just how like for us people were as well. That like there were your friends, my friends, joint friends who were like, yeah,
they could see it.
They could see that we're a good pairing. And we've often said as well, like about our marriage, is that I'm strong where you're weak. You're strong where I'm weak.
Yeah, I mean that's what I prayed for.
Yeah.
What I didn't realise was that would mean you were weak where I was strong. And sometimes it's very annoying when you don't take the rubbish out. I know that's cliche, but it literally.
I'm not the only guy. I don't think some of the things you have an issue with, I think is just a male-female differential. Like there are some things that guys just don't do very well.
Yeah. Gaz could walk past the bins on the street and not realise that it's bin day.
Yeah. I've got my mind on other things. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think we always I think what God did when we look back now, a decade ago now, was when I was completely changing my life.
Yeah.
And a decade ago was when you were completely changing your life, 2016.
Yeah.
And we've been on a journey separately and then we've come together. And, did we think that coming together and having our sense of God wanting to use us, use our voice, our skills, plant a church, did we think that was going to come quickly? Yeah, because we're impatient people.
Yeah.
But God's obviously got different ideas. And I think a decade just is something so poetic about it. And I see God do those kind of things in my friends' lives and also in the Bible. Like you see with hindsight, the story, like God's the best storyteller, right?
Yeah.
You see the intricacies and the way he weaves things into each other. And we're just on that journey at the minute, aren't we?
Yeah, I think it's just dawned on me actually that we've had a decade of training. It's like we've had a decade of being broken down to our absolute core and rebuilt like with God.
Yeah.
And rebuilt for God.
Yeah.
It's like he's gone, look, you've got all this. We hit 2015, 2016. And he's like, now I'm going to break some of that stuff off you because you've been there, done that, you've got it. Like that's just who you are.
Yeah.
But now I'm going to show you who I want you and need you to be.
Yeah. For
the mission I've got for you.
Yeah, because so many times, right? It's not just once. So many times, God has brought me personally to a point where, like, I feel like I have nothing else that I can do other than pray. Like health battles or money with us recently, starting a charity, obviously very difficult climate for that now. It always has been, but especially now.
At the moment, yeah.
And I very much feel like there's been so many times in this last decade alone where the only thing I could control and could do would be to pray.
Yeah.
And I think, of course the Lord wants to see that when we're on our knees, when, stuff hits the fan, what are we going to do? And I think time and time again, we've shown our true colours. And for me, that's I will get in the bath.
Yeah.
And I will pray. And then I'll come downstairs and be like, listen, right, I've just had this. I've gone through this. God showed me this Bible verse, and then this and this. And Gaz is like, okay.
I'm like, it's 9:30. I've been at this all day.
I'm like getting out rejuvenated, haven't heard from the Lord. And Gaz is like downstairs with the kids like,
not 9:30 at night. The kids are in bed by then.
Oh, God.
But yes, very much. And like, we both, if anyone goes on a journey of faith, you will find the way that you hear God.
Yeah.
And for some
Ours is very
people,
different.
for some people that's in prayer. For some people that's in reading the Bible. For others, it's in preaches, worship, like whatever. One of the ways I sense God a lot of the time is when I'm in it. I'm moving, and I'm doing, and I'm at it, and then God shows up, and something happens, like an opportunity comes, or a conversation starts, or just whatever.
Or like sometimes you'll go for a prayer walk, and then all of a sudden your phone's like, you're praying about something, and God's like, I see growth here, and then all of a sudden your phone's ringing, and that growth is happening like straight away. It's insane when that happens.
Yeah, and like
numerous times,
loads of times that's happened, and I think
might
as well,
I add, it's been me that suggested the prayer walk.
True. Yeah, you definitely keep me. It's like, how do I explain this? It's almost like having a personal coach.
I am like that. Thank you for seeing it.
You are like that, and like it's like, Gaz, have you checked your macros today? Have you? When was the last time? When was the last time you did a deadlift, Gaz?
What protein are you on?
What protein are you on? Huel. And then like every now and then it's like,
we're not sponsored by Huel. However, if you would like to sponsor us,
I've got a whole training class of pro wrestlers. No, like there is just that you're very good at like sensing as well, and you're hearing from the Holy Spirit and hearing from God all the time, and are deep in that, and I'm doing it also. But then there are times when you're then like, I sense this, and I'm like, cool, right, cheers, thanks for the direction. I go off, do the thing happens.
Yeah.
And again, I think a big element of that is just the limitations that you have physically with fibro and the kids and so much other stuff that like you can sometimes feel, and I know you have felt this, like a bit disjointed from the mission.
Massively,
because I'm the one out there doing it. But you know, and I've said this multiple times to people, and I'm going to say it publicly again, this doesn't happen without you. None of it does, you know? Because as much as I need you to release me to go do it, like you are picking up the slack in other ways, but also like people don't see and maybe through this podcast you will start to see some of this as time goes on, but like people don't see the broken Gaz that sits there on the sofa that needs you to pick him up.
Yeah, and you need a cheerleader, like by the very nature of who you are.
Yeah.
You're you know, obviously a wrestler and a performer. People like you need a cheerleader. They need someone to big them up and cheer them on. Don't think you can give of yourself so completely if somebody wasn't there to pour back into you.
Yeah.
So thank you for recognizing that. Yeah, I think we meshed, didn't we? And we straight away gelled on our heart for the working class.
Yeah.
Like, you know, the Bible tells us to essentially be there for the poor, massively paraphrasing. And, you know, the working class are, I think, a class in this country that are just, we're overlooked. I've had people tell me that the class system doesn't exist. I think you're privileged if you think that.
Yeah.
So, you know, our experience, there has been things that have happened in our journey as Christians that we can attribute to our perceived lack of education. I say perceived because realistically it's formal education. It doesn't mean that we're Luddites and we haven't done any, you know, research or education in other
reading
forms.
Or study or whatever else.
Yeah, like for you it's podcasts and videos and stuff that you learn from, and I you know, I challenge anybody to be as naturally talented and gifted in so many areas as you are. So we are just slightly different to the norm in English churches, I would say. That's not to say that there aren't loads of working class people in churches. There are. I reckon if you spoke to a lot of them, they'd probably have really similar experiences to us. I mean, those books that we read, you know.
Oh yeah, so Invisible Divides, Jubilee Plus, Natalie. Like when I read that book and I had it suggested to me by Ed Parker, good mate of ours. When I was reading it, there was a bit in there talking about like going to a home church, and so again for people who aren't Christian or in the kind of circles, I got saved in a Church of England church, so I came to Christ and joined this congregation. And there was Sunday mornings, Saturday nights, other stuff going on during the week. They ran alpha courses and things. But then, like, once you were kind of in the community and kind of regularly attending, it was suggested you go to a home church, which like once a week or every other week on an evening, you go to someone's house and you'd all study the Bible together and pray together and kind of find your people, essentially. Now, when I rocked up to Dave and Rosie, Dave Kendall, good mates of ours, when I rocked up to their house, like immediately, I'm thinking, do I leave my shoes on? Do I take them off? How am I supposed to dress? What do I bring with me? What don't I bring with me? And like, I had not been taught how to use a knife and fork in the right way. There's a whole bunch of stuff that, like, culturally, particularly middle class settings, like, what's the norm? I haven't got a clue. So I rock up, and Dave and Rosie, beautiful people, amazing people. I think they got it and understood, so they never asked anything of me. I'm not saying they did, but when I rock up just as I am, and then someone comes dressed quite nicely with a bottle of wine, I'm then going, oh, should I have brought something? And then I'm like, well, I'm not working, I can't afford it.
So cultural norms that people in different classes would know. So, you know, middle class people would know, arguably, you don't go to someone's house empty-handed.
Yeah.
That's kind of something that is taught from a really young age. Whereas in your working class background, that's not. I think when you start looking at the class structure as well, it's not all just one level. Like, you know, you were raised in a very different way to the way that I was raised. However, we both identify as working class.
Yeah.
And both have single parent families.
Yeah.
But just, you know, very different backgrounds, really, as well, when you look at it like that. We were in church, weren't we? We were in Light Church.
Yeah.
And you were doing a lot of work, kind of frontline, job clubs, debt centre. And we think that some opportunities passed you by.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the reasons that we were given to us directly linked into the fact that actually the root cause of that is because we're from a working class background. You know, we've spoken to the people involved in this, so, you know, it isn't going to be any surprise to them. But there was a time when you weren't even invited to interview for a job that actually we thought you were a shoo-in for.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like an associate pastor. And Gaz was already like really, really involved in the life of the church.
Mm-hmm.
Had you already spoken in front of everybody at CVM? So had already.
Yeah. So, like, just to give context to this, so again, this is public. I've often felt a glass ceiling.
Yeah.
In just around Christian circles, and I think I understand why. Completely understand why. So when I first came to CAP, I was a former CAP client. It took me 4 opportunities to even get an interview properly and get into there. And when I did, it was an evening call team job, and it was only a few hours a week. I went in there, and I think it's fair to say I rewrote the script and smashed it. Like, I did well, but I felt like I had to fight and claw for every opportunity. Even when I went full time, I was busting it and killing it and doing really well. And I always felt like, well, how do I progress? How do I go? Because I'm ambitious, right? I want to be the best. I want to do my best. And so I was pushing. I'm like, how do I grow? How do I develop? How do I get further? And it was like, okay, well, maybe you want some frontline experience. So I went and did that and was one of the best at it. And I was invited into things and I'm doing stuff. Oh, it'd be good for you to do more conferences. Well, I spent a whole summer doing every conference. Oh, maybe you should go speak in churches. I'm speaking in churches in front of hundreds of people.
Yeah.
And it's like I was just nailing it. But none of that seemed to translate into like a proven track record of.
But then I think
that.
As well, when we set up GTM, which was like the first iteration of Kingdom, so it's like 2018.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, you waited for the right time because you had this idea. This idea predates me.
Oh yeah.
This idea of using wrestling to engage the working class and men into the, you know, the Christ, basically, to engage them into church.
Yeah.
And you were advised that maybe the time wasn't right and to seek the Lord on that, and it wasn't right. And then it came back around 2018 and the time was right.
Yeah.
And we set about doing that, and me very much supporting from the sidelines. And there's a picture of us in the car, isn't there, with our coffees ready to go and drop you off. Yeah, the little i10 that I bought from my mum.
Yeah.
And we went, and you went and did your first event, and from that very first event, we used to get like 300 people coming to these events up and down the country, and there was always like loads of people getting saved, wasn't there? When we say saved, that is Christianese, really, isn't it?
It's like there was something about my story or the event or something that was going on in that space where they felt they wanted to re-engage, or for the first time engage with the Christian faith and who Jesus was.
Yeah.
That they'd maybe seen something in me and my story that made them go, that if he can do it, I can do it too.
Yeah.
And they were inspired and they were encouraged and they were engaged. And so there was something there. There was a heart feeling. There was a knocking at their heart.
God just really used it.
God just used it. And he always has.
But then when you tried, because initially I think we said to church, didn't we? Like, could we do this here? And it was no.
Oh, it was a no. Yeah.
And then it kind of got to the point where we were like thinking, is this the right place? Is it not? And then we had this like amazing Holy Spirit filled conversation one night, didn't we?
Yeah.
And we just got really re-energized for the Lord, and we felt like something big was happening. And then this job came up, this associate pastor job, and we were just like, oh my gosh, this is it. Lesson there in thinking that what God's doing. And you didn't even get an interview.
No.
And I was hurt by that, because I was just like, that's, you are a proven leader outside of the church. You are leading inside of the church. Mm-hmm. You are the biggest evangelist in the church. We were seeing more people coming through from Job Club at that point, because obviously Food Bank came later, I think.
No, Food Bank was still going at the same time.
Right,
yeah. I mean, there was a lot of crossover. Right. No, it's not taking anything away from Food Bank.
Sorry, I thought Food Bank came later.
No. That was still kind of happening at the same time.
So, but my point being, you're bringing loads of people into the church, we just thought that was the natural next step. And we've spoken about it since, and one of the reasons, rightly or wrongly, was that you hadn't, you don't read enough books.
It's in my bookcase. Apparently. But again, that then swings back around to, well, what does being academic actually mean? Is that having had a university education, or is that like having like a real world education? And
it's the former, isn't it? Academic, but it doesn't mean that you're not educated.
Exactly. It doesn't mean that I then wouldn't put the effort in to learn either.
Yeah.
And I think, like I say, when I first got to CAP and when I first got to Light Church, I was in the middle of a divorce. I was a former CAP client, and I was a bit of a mess. What I think we've now seen is people who meet me now, having had 10 years of growing and developing and learning and leading and doing all this other stuff, that the people who come into contact with us now, they don't see that Gaz.
Yeah. They just see who you are now.
Who I am now.
And I think for a long time, I don't think it's the case now.
No.
But back then, I think for a long time, people still saw you as Gaz a few steps before. Yeah. And the whole thing, that Jesus came to do, when we are baptized, we are born again. We are a new creation in Christ. So that former you, that former life, that's forgiven and that is gone. And I think maybe just as humans, sometimes we struggle to get with the program. So we eventually kind of, we had this calling, didn't we? We thought that we were to plant a church. So we started exploring that. We explored it with Light. Yeah. And we explored it. We had a chat with Carl Beach, and there was a few people that kind of would saying they would snap our hands off to start a church, really. And then we were starting to explore it with Fountains. Now, you'd been in conversations with Fountains at this point anyway.
Yeah.
Because you'd met Linda at New Wine. She'd told you about this new space that they were creating in Bradford, which was Fountains and an old nightclub. And the plan was to start a training school there, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And then at the same time, we're starting to explore maybe moving church. And we prayed a lot. We talked a lot. We we sought advice from Rob and Jane Garrett, who were kind of elders in our church at the time, and they're actually coming on board as people we can be accountable to at the Forge, which is awesome. And we spoke with our pastor Matt and Josie and with Linda, and we prayed and prayed and prayed, and just didn't know what to do. And it was actually my eldest brother who just said, Beth, like, you will be blessed whatever you choose.
Yeah.
And that was really freeing, that we had a choice, And so then we started to go and worship at Fountains. Now, we aren't connected with Fountains anymore. Nope. And we're not going to go into that in too much detail. We've obviously already, explained that we were parting ways with Fountains. We want to honour them. They still continue with their wrestling church, and we pray blessing on that. We don't feel that we need to revisit old turf, but we do want to just remind people that we are separate. We were once working in partnership together, but when did it end? 24?
May 24.
May 24. We separated to go our own way. So we, as Kingdom Wrestling, are a separate entity to Fountains Wrestling Church. I think there's just been a little bit of confusion out there that people sometimes still think that we're kind of the same, but we're not. Doing similar things, trying to tell people about Jesus through this crazy world of pro wrestling. So it's just crazy when you say it out loud sometimes, isn't it?
It makes complete sense to me.
But yeah, we don't want to, we want to honour them and that they gave us opportunity and space to get going. And then we've come here, haven't we? And we're a bit closer to home, and we rent this space from St. Peter's. And from there, we've just grown from strength to strength, really, haven't we?
Yeah, I think it's interesting to see how when God gives you a vision, that it can sometimes take time for it to come about. Yeah. And I think, like we said, we are impatient, and we do want to run at 150 mile an hour. I have a major issue with that because I am quite visionary, so I do see things long before they ever actually come to fruition, and I can see the way there, and I just go for it. And I have to bring people on the journey and remember that they're 5 steps behind me in the thinking, so I need to bring people along. So like I always knew that the great thing about wrestling was not just the performance and the event and the way that you can use that space to bring people into a position where they can be engaged and encouraged about the Christian faith, but also the community building of the training school, and how that then opens up opportunities for not just the adults, but for kids and young people, that they get a positive male mentor, that they're in a space where they can really truly be themselves, and they can fail safely over and over and over again and learn and grow. But that also creates multiple opportunities to share faith and to be a living example of Jesus in today's world, and how they can see the struggles and the ins and outs, and how I deal with an injury, or how I deal with a particularly tricky person or whatever. So I always knew that was the case. Yeah. And I always knew that would then eventually create a group of people who needed more than just that. Yeah. And because I understand that church isn't the be all end all. Like the Sunday gathering isn't the be all end all. If anything, it's a celebration of coming together to be together and to join in worship of God and how great He is, and how He's active in our lives, both the positives and negatives of how we're feeling and what we're bringing. But actually, the Christian faith is a day-to-day lived thing, and it's when you plant your feet in the morning and you decide again that day, Jesus, you're my Lord. Like that's the thing every single morning. Now, if you're only ever getting a piece of that once a week, like, great. If you're getting it in the training school, great. If you're getting it from your relationships and the people around you, great. But like, it is an everyday thing. And so I knew we had to go deeper than a once a month event or a once a week training class. And there would have to be another step to help people on that journey, because, we were doing all these touring events and then leaving. Yeah. And we'd never see them again. Or I'd see them 4 years later. Or, like I still do now. People run up to me at events.
At the zoo, didn't we? You did an event with Jay John, and we were at Pandarosa, and this woman was like, And she came over and she's like, did she bring her dad or something?
It was a mum.
Her mum,
and
yeah.
her mum gave her life at the event,
Yeah.
and she just was in tears once. She was like saying how happy she was that her mum gave her life at the event, and like we're just at the zoo with the kids, like okay, and so like we knew eventually that something like the Forge would have to happen, and I think again when you know that God's in it and stuff happens, you can see how clearly you can just kind of run with stuff. So like we were thinking what just before Christmas.
Yeah, so we kind of had a really nice period at Life Church, didn't we?
Yeah.
And we spent some time there, which was perfect for the time. We just needed to recharge. You know, when you become a mum, I know to some extent a dad as well, but when you become a mum, like you go through so many physiological changes, and you are hardwired to like care for these babies, you know. And I've had 3 kids in 5 years, and your relationship, the mums who are Christian will know, your relationship with God does change. And there were times where I was a bit worried about it, times where I felt like a little bit lonely. I struggled to hear from God. And as I've had more children, I've realised that your senses, and as I've learned more about what happens when you have a baby, like your different hormones drop and rise, different ones, and that makes you more in tune with the children. So you become like this, you know, one almost, don't you? Become one with your children, and you can anticipate their needs and basically care for these very, very fragile and helpless beings who, you know, rely on you for absolutely everything. So of course, you know, you're going to have barely any energy to sit and hear from the Lord. And I felt like I hadn't been in church for like 5 years because, you know, I was
your attention was always split
on the kids, always like, can I hear them? Do they need me? You know, my spidey senses were tingling all the time. And the great thing about life was that, you know, you chucked your kids in a kids group and then you got to go and worship, which for a season was perfect.
It was good for us as a couple as well.
And then I was pregnant, and that worked. Then we're going to have to cut this, sorry. So we're at Life Church, and it was just really perfect for that time, wasn't it? Like I got to just really soak back into my relationship with God. The kids were happy and they were looked after. But then, you know, once we had Rose, we just felt like somewhere a bit closer to home might be helpful. So we went to a church locally, didn't we? And they were so nice, really nice people. Probably, I feel like the nicest bunch of people I've ever met in church, to be honest with you. And we went twice, and the second time we went, one of your bugbears has been worship, hasn't it? And not being able to sing along if the worship is too high pitched.
And I know that's an issue that a lot of men struggle with in church.
And I think accessibility for men in church is an issue, and it's probably something we should do a podcast on, to be fair. But this is one of our hearts, making the Forge a place where men feel just as welcome as the women do. So I looked around and I could see you weren't engaged in it. I could see you weren't singing. And I just went to God in frustration. I was like, are we ever going to find a church?
Well, it wasn't just me either, was it? I think for the first time for you, you noticed that none of the men were singing.
I wasn't going to say that, but
no, I did. Come on, let's just call it what it is, because you know we do know that you get a lot from worship, and I get a lot from the teaching primarily, and that's how we both like really massively engage with a church service. But at the same time, like I do want to engage with worship, but when I can't sing, I'm like,
you're not going to, are you?
I'm not gonna.
So I'm like in frustration going to God, you know, are we ever going to find a church that suits all our needs? And I just kind of felt God say, I didn't hear it, you know, I didn't hear like an audible voice, but I just felt God say, I don't want you to. I want you to start your own. I was like, right, there we go. Okay. And then my brain, I'm very analytical. So I was like thinking it through, and I'm also quite a people pleaser. I say quite, I'm a massive people pleaser, and I worry about what people think. It's just, you know, it's my Achilles heel. And I had kind of some objections come through, and this just confirmed to me that it was the Lord and the peace of the Holy Spirit, because I had some very reasonable objections run through my head, and my response in my head was just really firm. Well, this church isn't for you. This church is for people like us, who have felt othered by church, who haven't felt like they're able to stay who they are. You know, years ago, my senior pastor at the time did this amazing preach about, he was a great communicator, Dave, did this great preach. I'm talking about it like he's dead. He's not dead. But he did this great preach, and he was just like, you know, some people, again, he's Australian. I won't try and do the Australian accent. Some people, they give their life to Christ and they come to the cross, and, you know, they're driving up and they're like a red Ferrari, or they're like a really decked out Jeep, or they're like a Hummer, or they're like a really cool Golf, and like all these different crazy colors, like vibrant and individual and personalized and full of character. And they come to the cross and then they take all that off and they leave in like a beige Mazda. He was like, what are you doing? Why have you just stripped off who you are and all of your cool personality traits and your lovely characteristics that make you you, and then left beige and boring? And like, he's like, what are you doing? And that stuck with me. And I have felt consistently in a lot of churches that I am expected to become more middle class. I don't want to become more middle class. I want to become more Christ-like. And I think that we can get confused here in this culture of Christianity in the UK. I think we can get confused of what is prim and proper, what is manners, what is cultural manners, versus what is more Christ-like, you know?
Yeah. And what's real? Because ultimately what you're doing there is you are becoming a caricature of what Christianity should be. It's not genuine.
Yeah.
It's not genuine at all. And like, don't get me wrong, there'll be people who come to church, who come to Christ even, with problems and issues. I'm not saying if you're an alcoholic, stay an alcoholic, because it's going to damage your body and do you in. But that doesn't then mean that you then become beige. Like, there is going to be rough around the edges. The way you talk is going to be the way you talk.
Yeah.
Don't then try and change the way you speak. Don't then try and, you know, I've got to wear the flannel shirts, or I've got, you know, like, you don't need to do any of that.
No.
Like, and I think,
because both are all right? Like,
yeah, both are perfectly fine.
Middle class people are great. Working class people are great.
Yeah, we need each other. We all need each other as we are.
You have full permission and ability to be who you are.
Yeah.
And that's awesome. Just, you know, Christ wants to be a part of it. So, yeah, I get this kind of calling from God. And then in the car on the way home, I tell Gaz, and then he's just like, yeah, banging the dashboard. I'm like, you're gonna set like the airbags off. Like, calm down, what are you doing? And then it's evident. I was like, have you just been waiting for me to catch up? And he was
pretty
like,
much.
yeah, I have,
yeah, pretty much. Because like the reason for that is I know that any new thing we take on, I will go at it 100 miles an hour, and I will give it everything, and I will try and make it a success, and I will. It's the shiny new thing, and I'll go for it. However, what that then does mean is a give and take, right? So if I spend more time doing a thing, it's more time away from you and the girls. So with this, with it being something that is going to go for a long time and is going to be very much about us and the girls and the family and creating something together, you need to be on board. And I'm not going to push you on that. Like, I think you needed to come to that yourself. And I think when you did, I was like, yes, come on. Because I knew...
It's God's perfect timing, right?
It's God's perfect timing, which, you know, let's then talk about... So what was that, just before Christmas? And then literally New Year's Eve, you with a friend, and you're talking about, we're thinking this, we're looking for a space.
Yeah, when she suggested Hullabaloo and the Beehive, and then you were like, oh yeah, well, I know somebody who works at Hullabaloo. And then you messaged him and you said, well, I'm not there anymore, and that space isn't any good. But I am at the Beehive. Do you want to come on down? And you went and you loved it.
Yeah.
And then the boss was coming, so you just hung around and had a chat to her. And I was like, how much do you want it for? I was thinking maybe like 30 quid an hour. And you were like, free. And I was like, but really, what are you willing to pay? He was like, free.
I'm a bit of a cheeky asker. I mean, yeah. I was like, if I can get it for free, great.
And we have got it for free.
We got it for free.
So there we go. We've got a free TV this morning.
Yeah.
From Joe. Thank you, Joe.
Thanks, Joe. But like, yeah, I'm a bit of a cheeky asker. But then again, it just doubly confirms to me that God's in it.
Absolutely. And, you know, these objections that I've thought of in my head, have I heard any out loud? No. Have I had messages from church leaders being very, very nice and encouraging us?
Yeah, which has been phenomenal. Local churches,
so pleased about that.
We're for you, we're praying for you, you're leading the way, keep going.
Yeah, obviously Natasha here at St. Peter's, she's just all for us, and that's awesome because she leads the Shipley churches together, and we very much want to get to know all of the church leaders around here. We believe in church and community, and we're not setting this up because we think of the churches are rubbish. It's not the case.
No,
church has been great in our lives, hasn't it? We just have a calling, and there's a bit of a gap.
I think that's what it is. We're not here to change the world. We're here to fill.
Well, we are here to change the world because we want to tell everybody about Jesus. But
fair point. Yes, I mean, we're going to take over the world. That's going to happen. But no, we're here because there is a gap, and that gap, unironically, is men, young lads. It's the working class. It's those that are kind of disillusioned with church in general, who don't want to get into the politics of it, who don't want to get into the scandal of church because that happens. That they're looking for something that's real and raw and authentic, and it's not all about the show, and it's not all about the performance or the music gig, or the big screens. Like, they are wanting something that is genuine, authentic, real, and raw. And I don't think you'll find anything like that in the basement of a pub that's going to be anything like the Forge, because the Forge is that. That's what we want it to be. We want it. You're in the basement of a pub with real people, with real issues, with real world stuff going on, and that's where you're going to find your people. And when you find your people, you'll know you're in the right spot.
Yeah, like when I came back to God. And I kind of said to Jesus, I believe that you came and that you died on the cross for my sins, and I want you to be in my life. Everything changed, but did my problems magically get fixed? No. I went on to have to deal with PTSD and fibro and, having to leave work for years. And, I was raised to work hard. That's who we are, very much. That's part of, for me, that's part of the culture of being working class. It's like just, work and you graft. And to have that taken away was really tough. But I don't think that I could have done it. Well, I know I couldn't have done it without God. And I know I couldn't live, with fibro without God. I do not know how people with this illness do it without God. There was points, wasn't there, where I watched this. I watched the first episode of a show, and there was a girl who it was a comedy, but I think she'd been locked up for 10 years or something. And they were like, "How did you get through it?" And she was like, "I just reset every 10 seconds. I just say, just get through this 10 seconds, just get through this 10 seconds. And for a while, that was my mantra. I was in so much pain everywhere. I was like, right, just get through this 10 seconds, just get through this 10 seconds, just get through this 10 seconds. And I don't think that I could have walked that without having God to talk to and to pray to and to give me gifts from of peace and of joy. Some of my most joyous times were when I was most ill. It really teaches you what's important in life and who you are, your core, and what your character is. So I want to be able to help people who have been dealt rubbish hands too, and introduce them to Jesus and help them figure out how to find that joy as well.
I think what people are going to get from us as time goes on, and with this podcast as well, is it's multifaceted. We're parents, so what's it like raising kids? That has its own challenges. We're married, that has its challenges. I'm a CEO of a charity that has its challenges. We're evangelists at heart. We're going to be planting a church that has its challenges, and I think, you know, we've got plenty of other people who we can bring on as well and share their stories and their experiences and stuff. So like I'm sure as time goes on, there's going to be a lot in here. We're not going to be a one-trick pony of a podcast, but I think if people want to join us on the journey and want to be a part of that, like they're going to get so much from this in so many different ways. And where, you know, like, send us questions, topics for us to chat about and our experiences of them. I think this is just going to be great for people.
Yeah, this, I think the idea behind the podcast is just Christian life lived out and talking it through. Others might have found differently, but I found it quite difficult to find a British Christian podcast that I've gelled with. Loads of American ones out there.
Yeah.
And maybe I just needed to look harder, but you know, I would like this. I would like to listen to this.
Yeah, and again,
we just do stuff we want to do, don't we? Stuff that we would like to experience.
Yeah. I want to wrestle all the time. That's a wrestling thing.
Very much like, oh, there isn't this thing that I want to do. We'll just have to make it. That's what I did with the kids group. But after lockdown, I wanted a kids group to take Bella to, and I was like, well, I'm just going to have to do one.
Just have to do it myself. Yeah, and like that, you know, there's an element of entrepreneurship there. There's an element of just getting stuck in and doing things. And so I guess, you know, if you're thinking of coming and joining us at the Forge, you're not going to get people who are just going to be like, oh, well, this is the way we've always done it, or oh, well, this can't happen because of that. Like, we're more about the solutions rather than the problems, and how do we make it happen, and what can we do? Because we trust that God's got it. Like the fact that we found a room for free after moments of talking about it, and I happened to know a guy who was there, and it all just fell together, and you never know what's going to happen on day one. And then
God's just brought people alongside us to help and team.
And people are reaching out going, I'm going to come. Yeah. Like, even I've been surprised by some of the people who said they want to be a part of this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's just confirmation after confirmation after confirmation that this is the right thing to do.
We're really excited, aren't we? We can't really think of anything else.
I can't wait.
I am getting a little bit nervous, not going to lie. It's getting closer to launch date, and I'm like, oh, I probably won't sleep the night before.
I mean, it's a big weekend as well. Like, we've got wrestling show on the Friday night, and then Royal Rumble Saturday night, and which is a big part of the wrestling calendar.
Yeah.
And then
we launch.
We launch on the Sunday, 1st of Feb. So and we might have guests in the house and whatever else.
I just want to say as well, like, we talk a lot about the working class, and I would like to caveat it with, we don't speak for every single working class person in England. No. You know, we cover a lot of breadth of different types of people, and from different areas, different walks of life. They do different jobs, different levels of income and stuff like that. We're just talking about our personal experience. And it happens to be the personal experience of quite a few people that we know with similar backgrounds. But it doesn't mean that, if you're sat there and you're working class and you're like, I haven't felt that at all, what are you talking about? That's totally valid and totally cool. Yeah. Like, we're not here to say that everybody unequivocally thinks the way that we think. We're just a couple of people. God's brought together, and we're just trying our best, aren't we?
Yeah, trying our best. We won't always get it right. And, we're open books. We maybe might do some things that feel a bit crazy and wacky.
And they might be.
They may well be. But that's just who we are. And I think, I wouldn't say I'm massively self-assured, but at the same time, I'm very confident in moving forward with what we've done. We're not coming at this as complete noobs with no experience. We are bringing ourselves and all of our God-given talents, skills, abilities, and experiences to it. We are a building team. We've got people who want to come on board. We're excited for where it's going to go. We're just on it, and we want you to be on the journey with us too. So I think that'll be a good place to wrap up. So thanks for tuning in. This is going to go on our website, on YouTube. So if you like the video, that's great. Subscribe to the channel, hit the notifications, and when they come up. We're thinking every other week. Probably we're going to drop these. It'll all be on socials and stuff as well. Drop us some questions. It'd be great to know if you've got questions about the Forge, like, when do you meet, what's going to happen, what's the kids' work's going to be like, whatever. Come along and join us on a Sunday, or drop us a message and we can answer some of that stuff as well.
Till next time.
Till next time. Peace.